everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to do a new apartment video for Denver, Colorado. I moved to a new place and I just wanted to bring you guys along through the process of how I looked for an apartment this time around. For this apartment that I was looking for this time, I had different criteria than the last time. This time I wanted to find a studio or a one bedroom. I wanted to have in-unit laundry, which is like a pretty big deal here. And I also wanted to have access to amenities like a gym or an office space or a pool. So the first thing that I did was that I went into Zillow and I put in my criteria of like, you know, I want in-unit laundry and I want access to a gym. Through Zillow, I was able to see what apartment complexes had access to that in the price range that I wanted. When I started the search, my price range was between $1,200 and $1,300 a month. And that is what brought me into this like idea of luxury living in Colorado. I never thought I'd be able to afford it or that I could do it, but you know, that's what has in-unit laundry here in Colorado. However, if that is not what you're looking for, I'll also give you like the tips that I'm gonna give today are tips that you can use in any of the websites that I'll name today, and you can use whatever your budget is. But I wanted to show you guys the apartments that I saw. So for other websites that are useful other than Zillow, I would say Cornerstone Apartments, Wheelhouse Apartments, Boutique Apartments, and I will leave those all linked below. Before we get into the videos of the actual units, which of course they're gonna be here, and I'm definitely gonna share pricing, I'm definitely gonna share all the details that I myself had before I chose what apartment to live in. The first thing you wanna know is the timeline. So you shouldn't start looking for an apartment unless maybe you're just looking to see what complexes you like. But apartments are not going to be available 60 days to 2.5 months before. People are required to give 60-day notices to move out. So I would say 2.5 months before you are projected to move out, you should start looking to see what you like, and you'll see units that are available in the time that you want to move. Also, the reason why I say 2.5 months and not the 60 days is because when you apply for a unit, they usually give you a 2-week buffer from the, from the day the apartment's gonna be available to when you can move in. So you have like 2.5 months to 60 days, I would say, is when you should start looking for your apartment. Another thing that I found is that the cheapest rent that I found was between November and January. So if that's something that you can control when you move, I would say looking during those months is gonna give you the best deals out there. I would also say, and I know this may be a privilege, especially now during COVID times, but also now they're doing a whole bunch of virtual tours. But I would say don't apply for a unit or don't move in a unit you haven't seen, if not in person, then in a video, just because you don't really know, like you can't see everything from the pictures. So definitely ask for a video or go in person before applying. Something else is that when I moved this time, I definitely wanted to get movers. I did not want to deal with moving the big stuff in my apartment, like my bed or my dresser. You know, that was too much. I didn't want to deal with that. So I hired movers, and what I did was that I would call around to different companies that I found online, and there was this one specific company that gave me this great price, but their website was a little sketchy. So what I did was that I took another company that I spoke with that seemed a little more legit, and I told them that I got this deal from the other company and they were able to match that deal. So whatever deals you're seeing somewhere specifically with movers, definitely let the other person know, the other company know, to see if they're willing to match it, if it's a company you feel more comfortable with. Also, because I was downsizing, I made sure to plan my layout ahead. So what I did was that I ended up moving to an apartment that's like 520 maybe square feet. So I like drew a floor plan of like, okay, where would my bed be? Does my bed actually fit there? Does my desk fit there? Does my dresser fit in the closet? You know, like all of these little things. You just want to make sure your stuff actually fits in the apartment that you're moving into. And if it does not fit, then you want to KonMari or look for an apartment that's bigger. Or if you just like really want to move to this apartment, you want to make sure you get rid of the stuff you want to get rid of before moving, because that's going to save you money, because the movers won't have to move it, and it's also going to save you, stress, peace of mind. Okay, so you want to make sure you're cleaning your space before leaving. You want to make sure you're getting rid of the stuff you don't need. And for that, Facebook Market was a savior for me. Anything you're not using and you wanna try to sell, Facebook Market has worked wonders for me. And anything you wanna buy for your new apartment, you can also buy off of Facebook Market. I do know the world now is different than when I moved a few months ago, which is crazy to say. But I think you can still sell and buy from Facebook Market. You just have to be a little more careful as to how you're doing it. And maybe you won't buy like the big stuff, and just make sure to clean what you're buying or selling. Yeah, I don't know. Follow CDC guidelines. So the last thing I want to say is that you want to make sure that you are looking around in areas, you know, an area that you want to live. So for example, I was driving through downtown and I saw this apartment building and I was like, oh, I can't afford to live there. But they had this really huge deal where they were giving 2 months off to anyone who was moving in. And I was like, yo, maybe I can live there if it's 2 months off. So I went in and I did a tour, and then through Google Maps, I actually found an apartment right next door to it that was a little bit cheaper, that also had the 2 months off deal. So I would say use all tools that are at your discretion and don't think something is impossible. So what I ended up doing was that I knew that my budget was $1,300, $1,200 to $1,300. So the apartment that I was looking at was $1,500, but they were giving 2 months off. And if I averaged it out to a 15-month lease, it ends up being like $1,300. So I was like, oh my God, I would have never known I could actually afford to live there if I hadn't actually wanted to look for a way that it worked out for me. So don't limit yourself to what you can do. Now I'm gonna show you all the units that I saw, and you can decide for yourself which one is your favorite.
So the first building I went to see is called Veranda High Point. The price range for those units was between $1,200 and $1,300, so it was right within my budget. And the size for the units was within 550 to 600 square feet, and it was a studio. But all studios in Veranda had like a division between the bedroom and the living room, which is something that was not in every studio. And eventually I realized that I did not want that division. And, you know, I didn't know COVID was going to happen and I was going to be stuck in my apartment all day. But yeah, so that's Veranda. The thing with Veranda High Point is that it was not near downtown. It is 20 minutes, I would say. It's a 20-minute drive from downtown. Is really close to the Denver Tech Center, which can be appealing to some people. It's an awesome building. This is also not the unit that would have been available for me. This was the closest thing they could find to the unit that would be available. I really also loved the kitchens at most of the apartments that I saw. This is just some of the amenities. So Veranda High Point had this like hangout space. And it's not really like a rooftop area. It kind of is, but it's not. The building's not that high. The gym was beautiful, and the gym looked into the pool. And one of the things with Veranda High Point is that they say they're the only lazy river in Denver, Colorado. They also had this really cool indoor court and a grooming space for my little Coco. So it was perfect. The next apartment is University North. So for those of you who may or may not know, I actually lived in University South apartments. Those were my last apartments. So I was looking at the building right next to it. I wanted to see what I could get for a more affordable price range what I was looking for. So University North apartments, you can find them on the Wheelhouse or I think it is the Wheelhouse website. These were around 500 square feet. Price range was between $900 and $1,000 a month, which was pretty cool. It is an open floor plan studio, and the living space in this place was crazy. Plus, there was free Wi-Fi. The next one we had is Via Apartments. When I was looking at that apartment, I was like, I would never be able to afford living here. But once I got into the whole like, you know what, if I get a good deal when I move in, I can probably afford to move there. So Via Apartments, price range 13 to 1400. Square footage is 550 square feet. And it had that division within the studio in a really cool way. Like we'll see it in a second. Here's the division that I was talking about. You know, there's no window or anything, but it's a division and you're not living in your living room like I currently am. And like the living space was pretty sizable, you know? I loved that backsplash. This kitchen is beautiful. Something I did notice about kitchens in luxury studios was that they were huge. They were like half the apartment. Awesome gym. And yeah, the next one is One City Block. So One City Block is actually pretty close to where I ended up living. It was a studio. Some of them had partitions, some of them didn't. The one I was looking at didn't. And the price range was between 13 and 1500. It just depended like what I saw online versus what I saw like when I got there, what was available. So it just depends around that. The sizing wasn't the best. It was between 450 to 550 square feet. And then it was an open floor studio, but it was definitely beautiful. I love the island. Again, ginormous kitchen. Look at this beautiful pool. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And of course, we can't forget the laundry because that's what I wanted. There's the gym. And then this was another unit in the same building that was just the living space was a little bigger and it was cheaper than the one I saw before because it wasn't like right next to the pool. So again, huge kitchen. And this was my favorite dog grooming space that I saw. It was so awesome. And I was like, I would want to give Coco a bath in this space. So the next place that I went to, at this point, I was really opening up my horizon. I was like, I want to go anywhere that has in-unit laundry. That's really all I care about at this point. I want to go visit it all. So I went to this apartment complex called Advener at French Quarter. These apartments ranged between 1,100 and 1,300. The size was 550 square feet, and it was actually a 1-bedroom. The video that I took was of a 2-bedroom, but it was a similar vibe. You just have 1 bedroom less than what you have here. I think the thing with this apartment was the complex. The unit was cool. For some reason, utilities were crazy in this apartment. Like maintenance fees every month would have made this apartment go all the way up to a price that was just like not comparable with other things I was seeing. So this was the pool at that complex, the gym. So the next place that I went to at this point, so there was a shift that happened at this point for me, and it was that I was in downtown and I was like, what if I lived in downtown? So I started looking specifically actually like Google Maps and like looking at apartments near the downtown spots that I was always at. And I found a few places that were really cool. And I also drove around and found places that had signs that said like 2 months free. And I also went and I toured those. So 21 on Market was one that I found on Google Maps. Pricing is $1,295 to $1,400. Pricing is around 500 square feet, and it was an open space, an open floor plan for the studio. The video that I took was of a 1-bedroom because they didn't have any studios to show me, but the studio would have been similar to this, but without a bedroom. So here's when it gets to the good stuff. So I moved into one of these 2 last apartment buildings. I probably shouldn't say that again, but I won't tell you which one. So Alexin is the one that I found when I was driving down, just like one of the main roads here in Colorado, and they were having that 2-month free deal. So just more information, the Alexan studios range between $1,500 to $1,600 a month. Right now they're still having the deal of 2 months free and I think 6 months off of parking, which is really cool. And the sizes for the studios were between like 530 to 600 square feet. And they have different studios. They have like open floor plan. They have a division in between, but the videos that I took were from the open floor plan model. This is the second Alexan apartment that I saw. Similar pricing, similar sizes. And this specific one actually is one of the ones that has that division. This is the first apartment that I saw in this Alexan building, and it was actually an ADA unit. It was, I think, $1,490 when I saw it, and I was like, maybe I can move into that one. But something about moving into the ADA unit just didn't sit right with me. I wanted to make sure that if I could move to another unit, I did that. But here's the division. It has like a bedroom space, and then it has that living room space on the other side. I also felt like this unit was just a little dark for me. I really love light. Look at this kitchen. Oh my God. I really love light. Like, I get really sad if I can't see the sun or if it's really dark. So I knew this unit wouldn't do it for me. Then I went into another unit in the same building. This is the similar unit as Alexan on 20th, but it's on Alexan Arapahoe. But it's the same thing. This one's just not staged. Also, the Alexan buildings have this like valet trash service where you put your trash can out and they come and pick up your trash every day, except for Friday and Saturdays, which is super convenient. Look at this view. Look at this crazy view. And then this is the floor plan that I went with. Again, all apartments on both Alexans are the same floor plan. So this is just a floor plan that I currently live on. It's a studio without a partition. It's just a little smaller. It has, laundry, which is what I wanted. It has the living space. It actually looks so much bigger with everything in it, surprisingly. But what really sold me on like this specific studio floor plan was this balcony. Like, it's so crazy. I will do an apartment tour soon. So if you like this video and if you want me to do an apartment tour, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on that apartment tour that's coming.
And that was the video for today. Thank you so much for watching. As you can see, my books have definitely decreased, and that's because I'm using my books to hold up my phone, but don't mind that. Thank you so much for watching. As I said, if you like this video, definitely subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. And if you have any questions around either finding an apartment here in Denver or moving in general, leave those down below. I've moved like 7 times in Denver and I've only lived here like 3 years. So yeah, it's kind of like second nature to me at this point. So thank you so much and I will see you next time. Bye.